We all have, you've been to someone's house and they have a water feature in a little pond in the backyard, and you're sitting out on the patio and you just hear that water kind of trickling and drowns out all the other noises that can aggravate you. It's just so peaceful, and that's what we all wish we had in our backyard. I don't have one. Mike won't dig the hole for me. So he's afraid I might put him in the hole. So adding the pleasing sights and sounds of flowing water to your backyard can transform into a relaxing retreat. Few things soothe like running water. If you don't happen to have a meandering stream in your yard, you can add a water feature to get the therapeutic benefit of the sound of running water. Running water provides a calming effect on us, and it relaxes us. A strategically placed water feature in your landscape can dramatically lift the look of your landscape also. What do you consider when you're planning a water feature? Can y'all see? Yep. Get the big picture. Where is it going to be located? How much room do you have? How much sun, how much shade? And where you place it is going to depend on how many problems you have with your water feature too. Because sun's going to cause algae to grow, where in the shade it'll slow it down. What type of features do you desire? Do you want moving or do you want still water? And how will the water fall? Will it cascade? Will it bubble? What's your choice on that? Or do you just want a bird bath? What is the purpose of your water feature? Do you want it to draw wildlife into your landscape? Remember, deer eat everything. And how much maintenance is it going to take? When you're thinking about the location too, you need to think, what will your feature be? Will it be an accent? Will it be a centerpiece? Or will it be a destination in your yard? The accent water piece is just kind of maybe tucked away into a flower bed, a bubbling urn. But you want to make sure that it's tall enough that the plants don't hide it and you don't lose the effect of it. And you don't put it close to your AC unit, because then what's going to happen? You'll hear the air conditioner running, but not your water feature. The centerpiece is your middle of the attraction. It'd be in the middle of your yard, and kind of where everything comes to a point where it's right in the center and it gets all the attention. Catch up. Usually a big tall fountain, a 6-foot tall fountain in the middle. It's more of a formal type effect, I think, if that's what you're going for. Use the fountain as a focal point of the gathering place set in a far corner of your yard. And this will encourage you to travel through your landscape and enjoy the things on your way out to it. This encourages your guests to discover what style you can be seen, discover what a style that can be seen or heard from a distance, and create a winding path to its location. Complete the scene with planted containers and seating, and you'll have a relaxing little hideaway. What do you consider with your location? What's some of the things to consider? Choose a site for a pond in a sheltered, sunny spot, well away from your deciduous trees. Fallen leaves will pollute your pond or your water feature, whatever it be. If it's directly under a tree in the fall, all the leaves are going to fall on it and start decaying, and then you have a mess. Usually informal ponds are best located in depressions at low points. If you have a spot in your yard where everything kind of seems to drain to, it's a good place to maybe put a pond, because your water would collect there. Never put it on top of a hill or a mound, because you're not going to be able to collect water, and it's just going to kind of drain off. Formal ponds can be located on high or low points, but they're formal, they're going to be built up with a rock wall or something around it to contain that water. Streams obviously start at a higher point and they run downstream to a lower point. The start of a stream, or if you have it like a dry stream, and then, or what they call dry stream, but a stream running through your backyard, where it starts, you'd want to kind of maybe hide the function of the pump. Have some plants there that kind of grow over the edge and will hide it. I don't have a picture of that right there, but I'll show you one in a minute. Water features create a focal point in your garden, and they'll be better appreciated when they can be seen. Be sure to consider what type of power your feature will use and locate that water near that power source. You can use solar pumps, or electrical pumps are much easier, but the solar pump is really nice if you're out in the middle of a yard and you don't really want to run one electrical line out just to a little fountain out there. Solar-powered water pumps, they offer more options for the placement in the landscape of water features. You just need to keep in mind that the amount of sun your solar charger receives will determine the success of your pump. How much room will you need? How big a yard do you have? Do you live in a little small, in town with just a small backyard, or are you out on a 100-acre farm? Determine how much land what are you going to devote to? Do you want a big pond in your yard, such as that one? Or do you just want a little bird bath to draw in some birds and watch? Sun versus shade. How much sun moves across the land? Is the area fully shaded or in full sun? It does make a difference. Shade will present a problem with dropping leaves, but algae grows slower in shade than in the sun. If you have fish living in the water pond, consider giving them some shade, because it gets really hot on a Texas afternoon. Some types of water features that you can consider. If you have kids or grandkids, you might want to do a little splash pad in your own yard so you don't have to load them up and take them to the park every day. Have one in your own backyard. It's economical, better than a swimming pool. A koi pond, a bird bath, fountains, and a waterfall. A splash pad. If your kids love running through the water sprinklers, then you could just do a splash pad, and just like the ones you find in the water parks, like I said. But there isn't any required transportation to take them there. Splash pads can be a good alternative to swimming pools because they are safer, cheaper, and much easier to maintain. A koi pond, or any fish pond really, if you have the space and resources, consider building a tranquil koi pond. You want to make sure you have enough space for it, because it has to be at least 2 foot deep for the fish, and allow them, a koi grow to be pretty large sized fish. They eat plants, so you will need to add non-toxic plants to the pond, such as water lettuce, water lilies, and other floating plants. If you don't want to maintain the pond to the point of keeping koi or fish, you can also use a number of different pond designs minus the fish. A bird bath is probably the simplest and the easiest water feature to maintain. It attracts wildlife, birds, even a raccoon or whatever will probably come and try to drink out of it too. They don't have pumps usually. They're just, they're still water, so you don't have that cost. It's budget friendly, and it's an easy way to add an element to either your front or the backyard. Bird baths come in various colors and shapes, so you have a wide range to choose from, and it fits everyone's style. Fountains are a good way to add water into your landscape. These are available in a variety of styles and sizes to fit your needs. If you love the sound of moving water, a fountain is the great solution. It's so tranquil to hear that water running and just relaxes you. If you place the fountain in the middle of the garden, birds can enjoy it. Keep it next to a window or patio, and then you enjoy these soothing sounds. Consider installing the feature in a prominent area of your yard, like close to your front door to greet visitors and guests. There are among endless options with the fountain. Some designs include pipe fountains, spouting fountains, and disappearing fountains. If space is limited, you can enjoy a ball fountain, and that doesn't require much setup. So they typically fit into any size yard. The waterfall, it's a great way to incorporate some movement into your garden, especially if you have different levels in your yard too. Maybe there's a higher spot and you want to take advantage of it and use it as a waterfall to run down into a creek bed. Concrete, rocks, fiberglass, they can all be stacked to create a path for water, while grasses and succulents, flowers, they make great additions, which adds some color. Pondless waterfalls are great for smaller backyards. Instead of the water being collected at the bottom, these types of waterfalls will contain pumps that bring the water back up through the pipe to create the same effect in a smaller footprint. These are also low maintenance and can be designed with plants and stones for a natural look. For a more modern feel, you can create a staircase waterfall, which can be created to fit any size yard. Backyard versus the front yard. Do you want it to be more informal? You put it in your backyard. If you want something formal, you think of putting that up in your front yard. And there are water features that are typically more appropriate for a backyard setting instead of the front yard. Anything designed with relaxation and tranquility in mind is probably for your backyard. You probably don't want company relaxing by your koi pond in a front yard. You'd rather have them in the back, or you don't want kids on a splash pad in your front yard. However, some water features complement any outdoor area. For example, a fountain or a bird bath work well in both the front and the backyard. Will your water feature, will it have moving or still water? Moving water can be used as either a fountain, a waterfall, a stream. And moving water will require a pump. And while that is an added expense, moving water is much easier to keep clean, so keep that in mind. And it's also easier to grow fish and plants in. And moving water will kind of deter mosquitoes too. The path water takes down the fountain helps set the tone of the feature, not to mention the volume level and how often you will have to refill it. A running water feature like the urn there. And you'll see it has kind of a slick side. The water just kind of bubbles up and slips down the side. It's real quiet. And it flows, the water flows down to a pump beneath a layer of decorative stone. And that's a pond, it's called a pondless fountain. Smooth surfaces make the water sound like a running garden hose, while something textured disrupts the flow and it creates more of a trickling sound. Water clinging to the side of the fountain is not easily lost to splashing, but that thin layer, it evaporates quickly on hot days, so frequently refilling may be necessary. A bubbler set in a basin gently churns the surface of the water, providing primarily a visual experience. You don't really hear it, it's just kind of, you watch it more or less. And a strong magnet for birds and butterflies because the water seems to be calmer for them. Because the water doesn't tumble down the sides, the bubblers are probably the quietest fountains, and they lose very little water to splashing in the wind, minimizing your refilling duties. A raining water feature, this is one I want Mike to build me. I just want it right above the back door where I can just walk through it. Dozens of droplets squeezing through holes. And I've seen them made. It's just a piece of pipe and it has little holes drilled in it that the water falls through. And it falls like a curtain into a pool of water or a rock-filled basin created down at the bottom, as you see. Right here, close to that. And The taller the structure and the deeper the pool, the louder the storm. A lot of water splashes out and gets carried away by the wind, so plan on replenishing this one quite often. A pouring water feature. Concentrated streams of water gushing from one level to the next into open pools makes a forceful sound, like that of a pot filler, distracting for some, meditative for others. Leapfrogging from basin to basin leaves the water vulnerable to the wind gust, and so maintaining this level can be quite a bit of a chore. A cascading water feature. Water spilling over the top pool and into subsequent tiers produces a symphonic splashing that can mask unwanted noise. So if you live next to a busy road and you kind of want to, yeah, if you live on Highway 7 like Mary, you might want to try a water feature that makes a lot of noise to drown that out. We used to have them in town here in the backyard, and it did drown out the traffic noise from 45. So the pump's flow control, it can reduce the fountain's volume and splash loss, but the point of this style isn't to be quiet. And if your fountain is too loud, try adding a layer of river rock down at the bottom to kind of soften the crash of the water, and it reduces the distance that water has to fall. Okay, what purpose do you want your feature to fulfill? You want it for wildlife, or do you just want it for some zen moments to sit back and relax? You want it for a pond, for fish, beyond, or go aquatic? A wildlife pond, do you want to draw wildlife into your landscape? Remember, if you do this, you'll also be aware that, deer do like to eat vegetation. A pond may draw in other wildlife, such as raccoons, squirrels, possums, or a fox, from which find it a convenient water source. And you can enjoy getting a glimpse of that wildlife and of nature. Did you grow up with bird baths in your yard? Birds love a place to stop and splash. But providing those heavy two-piece concrete creations that hold your water beautifully, you're inviting birds to enjoy your landscape along with you. The sights and sounds of moving water, dripping, gurgling, bubbling, flowing, splashing, attracts birds to drop down from their migratory flights and just lay over, refuel, drink, and bathe. They just stop by and think, oh, this is a nice little vacation spot right here. The Zen moments. The easiest way to create a peaceful corner, and you see a lot of these like at Home Depot or Lowe's, the little fountains they're smaller, and they're just made like to sit on a patio and just make a soft sound, trickling sound, I guess, which said. The easiest way to create a peaceful corner on your patio is to install a freestanding water feature for instant relaxation and the calm of infinite bubbling sounds. Freestanding electric water features range in material size, shape, and cost, so you're sure to find one that fits your needs and budget. From trickling fountains to cast stone, to concrete, to glass walls of waterfalls, freestanding water features make a great solution if you don't want to install something in the ground. Ponds and beyond. If you have a already existing pond on your property, you might just want to consider landscaping it to resemble an outdoor water feature. Pond landscaping can be simple or complex, just whatever you desire. Stepping stones or tiles can be laid to create an edge, like to form a small patio, or maybe you put a table and some chairs and sit out there and enjoy it. For small decorative ponds, try digging a 3x4x2 hole and filling it with polyethylene pond liner, then surrounding the edges with rocks, stone, tile, or brick with mortar. If you want the pond to bubble or flow, purchase an inexpensive bubbler kit from your local garden center. If adding fish to your pond, consult with your supplier to determine the water and oxygenation requirements. Go aquatic. Create a water garden in a pot. If you don't have a whole lot of room, just get one of those big round clay pots that are, 10 inches deep or something like that, like the one shown here. And you could fill it with water and put some plants in it, such as hyacinth, water lettuce, and grow them in the pottery. It's a low-maintenance way to bring water into your landscape plan without the complexity of adding electricity to the mix. The only maintenance required is to refresh the water weekly. And take note, any standing water that's not bubbling can become a breeding ground for mosquitoes and other insects. So be sure to either change or treat the water or put something in it to prevent the mosquito larvae from growing. Maintain your healthy water quality. Water, it can be clean either by using chemicals, filters, or by improving the biology of the pond or stream. Where persistent water quality problems exist, consider a filtration system that may be your only solution. You can achieve the filtering system in two different ways. You can use the physical, which is a pump that's going to pump it through a filter and pump your water through a filter, and it gives, let me just read what it says. With physical filters, water is pumped through a physical barrier which filters out the waste products, and so algae will build up and it helps oxygenate the water. With biological filters, your water passes through a bed such as gravel and sand, and as it passes over it, the microorganisms in that material, it breaks down the impurities and it clears your water. I remember Bobette Heaton, one of the first master gardeners in Leon County, had a place on OSR and 75, the corner. And she took old commodes and had a bulldozer drive over them and crush them and laid them in like a dry river bed. And she used that as a filtration system for her sewer water, and it cleared it. And I always thought that was pretty neat. Keep your water features free of debris. You will experience water loss and evaporation, so plan on adding additional water occasionally. You'll need to winterize your fountain or turn it off and just not use it during the winter. And spring's a good time to give it a thorough cleaning. If you take 15 minutes each week to check on the maintenance of your water feature, it'll run a lot longer and better. If you have a skimmer basket, empty it as necessary. And you'll kind of, I think when you have one of those, you just learn that, okay, every 2 days it's getting dirty, I need to, or every week, every 2 weeks, whatever. And keep your leaves out of the water because it will clog your pump if you don't, and the filtering system. If you have fish in a pond, consider installing a floating pond heater or an air bubbler to keep the water ice-free and fish-friendly. Okay, some natural ways that you can control mosquitoes. I learned something new. Did y'all know that cinnamon will get rid of mosquitoes? I didn't either. But you got cinnamon, you can use vinegar, citric acid, bleach, or fish. You sprinkle cinnamon into your outdoor fountain. It says adding even 5% cinnamon will kill all the mosquito larvae in approximately 24 hours, but a concentration of 15% cinnamon will kill the larvae in closer to 6 hours. Adult mosquitoes will not land or lay eggs in water containing cinnamon. Common cinnamon available at your grocery store is all that's necessary. Just stir it into the water. You can add vinegar to the water. It says at a 15% rate, which if you have 100 gallons of water, you're going to need 15 gallons of vinegar to put into it. Which, that sounds like a lot of vinegar, but if you have a big pond, I guess it's not really. I think it says the vinegar will kill all mosquito larvae in approximately 18 to 20 hours, and it'll kill any mosquito eggs. So, vinegar is like if you have a smaller fountain or something, you can pour a cup or two of vinegar into it, and it will probably take care of that mosquito larva. Yeah, they keep the algae. Citric acid You can pour it into your fountain until the acid makes up approximately 15% of the total volume of your liquid in the fountain. This acid repels adult mosquitoes and it kills larvae within 42 to 45 hours. Bleach, just common household bleach, added to the fountain each week will help control the mosquitoes, eggs, and larvae. Again, it says at a 15% rate, and it'll kill the eggs and larvae within 6 hours. Only add bleach to the water if fish aren't present. And some plants may be affected by the bleach also. Sunlight breaks down bleach, so if you're going to use bleach, it's better to use it late in the evening where it can have the cooler night, dark hours to work and do its job. It says add bleach to the water in your fountain every 7 to 10 days to be totally effective. And we have a fountain, and we do put in probably a cup of bleach when we clean it and just let it kind of run with it, and it does clean, seems to keep the algae down. If you stop fish, they're good mosquito eating tools also. You can end your mosquito problem while adding a new level of enjoyment while you get to watch the pretty fish swim around. And mosquito eating fish can consume up to 100 larvae a day. Mm-hmm. And some ways that you can control algae is place your water feature in the shade. Algae doesn't like shade. And you've used clean water. Wipe away the algae with a sponge using mild soap. Use white vinegar directly on infested areas and brush it off. Clean your filters on your water pumps every month to 3 months. Use preventative products. I mean, there are products on the market at your garden centers that you can add to the water that would kill the algae. Hydrogen peroxide helps to kill algae, and just a cap full of bleach will help. Some plants, you maybe want to add plants to your water feature if you have a pond. But you must be careful, as different plants prefer different environments. Some prefer to have their feet wet, some want to remain on the margin of the pond, and some prefer to have their stems fully submerged with just the flower, their head sticking up above the surface of the water. Plants dress a backyard pond with natural beauty, including a mix of floating, submerged, and bog plants for the most natural look. Definitely include a water lily. The pads shade the water, which helps with algae issues, and it gives the fish a place to hide. Water lilies need a depth of 18 to 30 inches. Just a word of caution though, some aquatic floating plants, if they get downstream, they can become invasive and they're not really suggested to use. I mean, you're driving down a road, sometimes you see a pond that's totally covered in water lilies and you think, oh, it's pretty, but how invasive they are. Fish add color to your pond, and they also, just kind of entertain you with their swimming. It's just kind of real peaceful to watch a fish swim around. They're fun to feed, and they also provide a visual, relaxing element. As you sit and watch the fish swim, you'll feel stress leaving your body, and that's why doctors' offices have fish tanks in them, because they don't want you stressing out in their office. A pond must be 24 inches deep to keep fish from overheating in the summer or freezing in the winter. Fish help reduce pond maintenance chores because they eat the string algae and they feed on sediments that gather at the pond's bottom. So they do help you clean house. Frogs and toads. Both frogs and toads are beneficial to our garden. They eat the pests that come around, the bugs, beetles, caterpillars, cutworms, grasshoppers, grubs, slugs, a variety of other pests. A single frog can eat over 100 insects in one night. Frogs and toads can eat 10,000 or more insects each summer. That's a heck of a lot of cucumber beetles, squash bugs, crickets, potato beetles, bean beetles, slugs, ants, flies, earwigs, cutworms, pill bugs, mosquitoes, and grasshoppers. And they're just some fun water features here.
How cool.
Anybody have an old piano laying around? I think they need to do this.
Oh, that's cool.
I think these are just some fun ideas. Taking a whiskey barrel, the different ways that they have used the whiskey barrel to make different fountains. Have an old bathtub or sink. You could turn it into a fountain or a water feature. Like the one at the top, I've seen people do this with goldfish in it. Not too long ago, I saw one like this where there was the water was running out of the faucet. It just kind of looked like water draining. These are just using some old things that you might find. The tall one here looks like they've used old disc blades and someone welded them on a pole and made a water feature out of it.
They just turned it sideways.
When I saw that, I thought about Kelly. I thought he could build that. And there, if you need a way to put water into your pond, get an old tractor to spit it out for you. And just, recycling some, these look like light fixtures that they have turned into a water fountain. And then just old pots and pans that are strategically planned. And there's just different, watering cans or a tea kettle, just they drip into each other. And that's it. Do y'all have any questions? I'll try to answer.
Makes me want a water feature.
I have one.
Well, I have one.
I'm glad you said something.
Ma'am?
I'm glad you said something about the cinnamon because I've been wondering how to keep
Well, I read one article about it and I thought this can't be. Then something else I brought up and it said use cinnamon again. I said, there must be something to it. So I
put cuttings up in the window in my kitchen, and one day I looked up and I use it like a half of a soda bottle clear up there, and I looked up there and I saw these things swimming around and they look like little pollywogs. And I thought, well, I'll look on the internet and see what the larva of a mosquito looks like, and sure enough, that's what they were, mosquito larvae. They look like little tiny pollywogs. They look little heads, eye, tail, and so I immediately dumped the water out and rinsed it out and put fresh water in there because I didn't want any more mosquitoes in my house.
yeah. So, well, thank y'all for listening.
Thank you.